many of these gosh darn lights do I have to catch? The Dawnbreaker is the level 80 dungeon for the Hallowfall zone in World of Warcraft: The War Within. Celebrating the maiden voyage of the Dawnbreaker ship that's supposed to protect the citizens of Hallowfall quickly turns awry as you enter into this new dungeon. Cult of the Night Warriors spawn all over the zone and begin fighting with the Arathi. It can be really tempting to go and help the Arathi around the area, but these are infinitely spawning mobs that there's no real reason to fight. Two sets of mobs are going to spawn basically right ahead of where you zone in, and you're going to clear those sets out and make your way to the Dawnbreaker itself. As you get onto the ship, a group is going to approach you, take them out, and another group is going to spawn on the bow of the ship, and you have to pick those guys up. They'll be led by a larger City of Night ad. Most of the other mobs on the zone you don't have to pay any attention to. Once these are down, the Dawnbreaker will be surrounded by other little ships. You're going to be able to mount up on your skyriding mount and fly over to the other ships and fight the Nerubians that are there. Once the Nerubians are down, you put down a bomb, and then fly off to the next ship. Once all of the little ships in the area are taken out, make it back to the platform for the first boss. The new leader of the Order of Night is Speaker Shadowcrown, and she's here to take the fight to you on the Dawnbreaker. She'll occasionally blast the tank with a big hit called Obsidian Blast that you should use a defensive cooldown for. Burning Shadows is a debuff that goes on one player, slowing their movement speed and doing some pretty decent damage to them every half second. If this debuff ever gets dispelled, it's going to put a heal block on all players for 600,000 healing. You have to decide if you're going to deal with the one player burning or if you're going to try and heal off that entire heal block. She'll cast a Shadow Bolt that you should take the opportunity to interrupt as often as possible. On heroic and higher difficulties, she'll cast Collapsing Darkness. This is going to create a couple of portals on the ground that you just need to move out of. Finally, at 100 energy, she begins Darkness Comes. She'll teleport to the center of the Dawnbreaker and begin emitting a big purple circle. You need to ride your skyriding mount and fly out of the Dawnbreaker, leaving the circle. Then you have to remain flying out there as you wait for the circle to expand. You should be collecting the light orbs that are out here to make sure that you stay out of the darkness. Once the orb explodes, you come back onto the ship and begin the phase all over again. If anybody is within the big black zone, or if you let your light debuff fall off, you will instantly die at the end of this cast. When she reaches 1% HP, she'll begin this phase again, doing the big circle, and you just have to fly out again, and then she'll die at the end of it, and you can land back on the Dawnbreaker. With Speaker Shadowcrown taken down, you're now going to be encouraged to go down and save the city. The Nerubian general, Anub'ikkaj, is going to be wandering around the town below, and he'll have summoned 3 different lieutenants throughout the city. If you check the map, there will be 3 star points, and 1 lieutenant spawns near each one of those. The first lieutenant is at the church. This is going to put a debuff onto the tank that is a big purple circle. Everybody else needs to get out of the circle. After it explodes, the tank will get knocked back, and everybody still in the circle will get feared. The second one is in Steel Strike's home, and it'll know Shadowy Decay. This will do an AoE pulse around the boss that just takes a healing cooldown to be able to manage. The last general is inside the inn. This one is going to cast a dark orb that will channel up and gain size and then fly towards a player that has a blue arrow on their head. It'll continue to go in that direction until it hits an object and then it'll explode. If you get hit by this orb or by the explosion, you get a debuff that ticks quite painfully on higher difficulties. The debuff lasts 15 seconds and stacks, so multiple hits from the orb or multiple explosions can continue to stack this up and make it a real problem. If at any point you pull the boss during this event, all players will get teleported to the boss, and you're going to have to fight it at whatever power level it's currently at. Each of the lieutenants increases his damage by 50% and his HP by 30%, so taking them out makes him a lot easier to take down. But if you want a faster run, you might want to only take down 1 or 2 and then pull him and deal with the extra power that he has, rather than needing to go and deal with all of the mobs. Once you finally pull the boss himself, he has all the abilities that his lieutenants did. So you're going to have to deal with the tank circle that you have to get out of, the pulsing AoE damage you have to heal through, as well as the dark orbs that you have to dodge. You should try and fight him in the most open area that you can, clearing out all of the mobs nearby. With Iken'tak defeated, Steel Spike realizes that the Dawnbreaker has been claimed by the enemy. Skyride back up and fly your way back up to the Dawnbreaker itself. Landing there will be a new dark mob available that you have to take down. It will summon sets of 3 ads that you're going to have to burn, and once it gets to low HP, it'll then summon the final boss. Rasha'nan is a large winged horror Nerubian that's going to land on the side of the ship. This is actually one of the raid bosses, but this is our first interaction with this character, and it has most of the mechanics that the actual raid boss does in Narrabur Palace. But we'll go over it here. One player is going to be marked by a green triangle, and half of their screen is going to be infected by a green light. They need to get all other players out of the green side of them, so they either have to strafe left or right until all players are out of the green side. You have just a couple moments to do this, and then you'll get hit, and a wave will pour over in the direction that you are highlighting green. If this wave hits anyone, it puts a stacking debuff on them that also stuns them and deals quite a bit of damage. She'll also pulse out AoE damage that stacks onto the group and will require a healer cooldown. The Nightfall bombers nearby are going to be dropping bombs onto the deck of the Dawnbreaker, and you're going to need to pick up these bombs and drag them over to the boss to throw them at her and deal significant damage. Most of the damage you do to this boss doesn't matter. A majority of the damage that's going to be dealt to her is going to be from these bombs, so definitely prioritize them rather than just standing there and hitting the boss. After a set number of bombs, she'll release from the side of the Dawnbreaker and begin flying away. You're going to want to heal everybody up, skyride up, and chase her. Those same light orbs from the first boss are going to spawn along the path that Rasha'nan is flying, and you're going to have to chase after her and keep grabbing these orbs. You're flying around thinking, how many of these gosh darn lights do I have to catch? Well, it's not as many as you think. If you ever let the light debuff on you fall off, you basically die, so you need to make sure that you are gathering an orb every 20-ish seconds. You don't have to get every orb or anything like that, and then just chase the boss down to her new landing location. When she lands here, she'll be a little bit harder. She's going to have the same rolling acid and erosive spray effects, but she's also now going to have a tacky burst that she'll hit the tank with, and she's going to put down sticky webs onto the ground that will tether players to them. Those players need to run out of the tether, which will snap it and do AoE damage to everyone, but remove the slow and stop pulling them in. There will also be regular acid pools that are going to go out, and with all these sticky webs, there's going to be a lot of slow fields. If you let the rolling acid roll over any of those web slow fields, it'll remove the slow fields and give you more room to work with. This boss seems like it has a lot of health, but don't worry, at 50% health, she gives up and flies away. And that's this full dungeon. Dawnbreaker dungeon is a lot of work, and it's going to be a little bit of a pain to learn for the first time. Once you get a hang of it though, it's not so bad. I like it, it has a lot of interesting concepts, and the bosses are pretty cool. I hope this guide helped you out. I'm Zesty Fresh Zaza Games, and we'll catch you guys next time.